Hi, Leo. I paired them off. They came out in pairs. This is the best way we can see them. And then the 4 from the bottom of the deck. So the sun and the moon in the same reading signifies healing to some sort, maybe an acceptance of some sort. I think this is quite an acceptance of yourself, of your needs, of your value, of your respect. But that does have you also question those things where you're unable to look, where you're unable to let go, where you need to resolve, where you need to allow things to be what they are in order to progress into what they shall become. And the 9 of Swords out, clarifying the 7, or the 9 of, clearing the 7 of Wands. The biggest reason why you don't want to be defensive and you don't want to spiral into that kind of dynamic is because you have known to get obsessive in your mind and what I've learned also recently is that the transits that are happening can also make one paranoid. Can allow paranoia to come through, and maybe a time or a space where you didn't and weren't really expecting it. So allowing this time not to be all of that is to find yourself, if you can, in a relaxed state. Don't eat sunflowers. Okay? He knows. I know. Talking to kitties. You know. So it's like when you're doing something that's not necessarily good for you, or can be easily helped by having someone who cares about you state that need, right? You may be one who can do it, but like we all have our double standards. Every sign has their way of being that way. And this is where yours lies. You may not want to be told what your faults are, or your flaw, or where you need help, I should say. Where you need help. And that also comes to you because you realize that through this desire, holy shit, through this desire, I think I just threw the cards. So, I mean, if all those come out again, we'll take them out, but I'm going to reshuffle that. You may feel and notice that it's being revealed to you what needs focus, what needs to be let go of, what needs to take space, how you need to take space from certain thoughts or certain desires, because it's like a lot. Like they can't grow without that space. And what you realize, what you want, what's fulfilling to you, what's important is then to allow yourself to feel it. What does that feel like? What runs through your mind? You know, what can be possible from here? What's actually real from here? Maybe you've been told that you can't have that, or someone told you a long time ago, or you've never been treated in a certain way and you're looking for stability. You realize that you actually have a lot more, but you need to let go of how you're perceived and what others perhaps want of you. Like some people may have a better idea of how you should be living perhaps, or what you need, and they feel inclined to share this opinion. I know, like, you haven't been there before, but what is clear is that whatever emotionally is coming up is what you're also learning to detach from. That the only way through this is to speak up and make things very obvious for yourself, because then it like dissolves the embarrassment. It's like you're like, I know this is happening. Like, we don't have to pretend like this isn't happening, because I'm aware of that this is happening. And that's the only way I can get through to the next part. That's the only way this becomes more fluid. This becomes easier, etc., etc. Because then you can actually state your value and have compassion for what you weren't, what you didn't see, what you didn't know, how this pattern through Mercury and Venus transiting into Leo over the course of the month. And also remember that Cancer season's always working on you. Every water sign is, but Cancer season sign really is. It's like, let it happen and respond to it instead of trying to direct it, because you're never going to. And your sign, once we get to Leo season, you can be the director all you want. Even though we know things are still going to play out the way they are, it's just easier of an illusion. But because the sun, it's just so shiny and it's a good time, you know, it's a great time. But it's going to feel different for years to come because of Pluto. Now, Saturn just went retrograde in Pisces, and Neptune will then go retrograde in Pisces tomorrow, so this will be out. And then we have the new moon, and then things shift into, also tomorrow, this will be out by the time Mercury shifts into Leo, which will make things clear for you then to proceed. But right now it doesn't feel clear because you're a lot of different things are coming up through this process. Yeah, you might be more in control, but you still had to realize what you dealt with, what you put up with, and what conversations you will or will not be having, or when the time is right. And what you have to give and offer from this place is something that, you know, some leaders don't do, or some, you know, people don't do, is you're seeing here where it is that you appear away and you're speaking to the stuck part of you. Have compassion for the side of yourself and seeing what's really available to you now. Because when you look ahead and look forward, weirdly enough, they're vice versa. There's so many possibilities, but then when you look in front of you, you feel almost like, okay, none of these don't work together almost. But you're not a person who likes to start from scratch too much. You may have to. You may want to. You may actually want to. You may actually look at this and be like, this is a great idea. But what I want you to envision is months down the line of coming back here. The new moon, Cancer new moon, yeah, this is a reset. This is a new way of relating to yourself, relating to your life. You have Cancer, for Leo risings, Cancer in the 12th house. Pluto transiting the 7th house. That you're going to learn a lot about yourself and your interpersonal relationships and the relationship you have with your life, where this is going, the dreams someone else, and also if you're partnered, someone else may have, and how those come together. And maybe not making too much of a concrete structure around what that looks like, but letting the moon help you develop, right? Letting yourself feel through this, be with this. Cancer season's like, can you be so present with me? You know, I know we want to look out into the future, and we will, but can you be so present with yourself in your life? And then, because then that's when, you know, it starts to reveal itself. When you're in a yin sign and you're in more of a feminine sign, you need to allow yourself to be revealed, something that I'm learning. In more masculine signs, you then can take more action. It all depends on your chart too, but because you are a fire sign, being the more masculine side, allowing yourself to be led or shaped in these times is not always easy. But if you can see very clearly that you're just protecting what's no longer you're looking at, and you feel like you have to do this just because you are attached to it in some way, what seems could be a trauma bond, you're working through and you're finally relieving yourself of maybe, and this could also be a person or a situation that was never going to add up, who never followed through. And that makes you wonder, you know, what is this showing? What is this revealing about me? What is this revealing about my life? Well, it looks like you see it happen like right in front of you, and you're almost like in a different life. You're like, I know this is happening right now, but I also it's almost like you don't even want to acknowledge it because you feel like then it won't be real, but it is real, and you need to acknowledge the fact that you're just not there. Wherever this person is, wherever the situation is, it's just not for you anymore, and it's a great time to see yourself move forward from this and move through something. These Gemini placements for a lot of you, we talked about community, good fortune, friends for your, if you're a Leo rising, this is quickly, it's weirdly enough, it's like you're breaking up and then all of a sudden you're back together, but you're not with the same person, you're not in the same place, the love is completely different, the feeling is completely different, but it's because you've changed along with it. It doesn't make sense to you anymore, and quickly you see yourself, you find yourself. What's revealed to you is that through connecting deeper with yourself, with these parts of you, you realize that it's okay to move on from a place that you're no longer in. That when someone makes something and makes a community, what they're going to bring in is the energy that they're in. And there are times where when they change, and through what I've seen from working for people and working for people, knowing their signs, whether to their detriment, to their extremities, the positive, the negatives, when someone's changing or not, right, and other people are changing. So if the person and the boss, say it's me, and I'm going through a change because I'm someone who does change, and I see that certain employees of mine aren't wanting to grow, especially if I'm working with them, whatever, then there will be a phase out because I'm changing. So my reality is going to show up differently, and that's also through people. Now, if you're someone who doesn't change and other people are changing, you notice that once they change, they leave, then you realize that there's something about you, there's something about me. If my employees weren't changing and I was just stuck, that would be a pattern to say, okay, hey, what is it about me that's not changing? Because my reality is staying the same. This keeps happening, but I'm still here, right? I'm still in this place. It's really important that you not doubt this part of you. So this is the time, this is the part. So look at how interesting that what's clarifying these cards at the bottom here is like, don't rush, be present. That will bring you further. You are at the end of the cycle. It's a test of faith, a test of faith in yourself, in the way that you're going, because it could be a great time to have confrontation, but you're too tired. You're too tired to have confrontation. You're processing some things right now. So whoever is speaking to you right now, you're not going to be ready until the end of the month and end of the season. Maybe when Mars goes into Gemini, to finally communicate what's happening. And that will be on the 20th, right before we head into your season. But we will have that full moon in Capricorn at the same time, right before your season starts. So this is the ending of something big. For those of you who are Leo risings, Capricorn will be in the second house, or sixth house. I'm looking at 6. And that's your day-to-day work, your health, your pets. So this is something's healing you. So there's a part of you and that's maybe what you didn't want to address, is your health. Maybe, I think for a lot of Leos, like if you're dealing with something health-wise, you'd rather just be dealing with it over and over and over and over again. But the truth is that once you face it, Leo, especially if you have stronger fixed placements or degrees, that could be possible. But the fixed signs are all getting an upgrade. They're all getting a shift. This year at different times, you're all being, the Rubik's Cube is shifting. Like it's just shifting regardless if it is comfortable or not. So the way that you communicate, the way that you present yourself, the person that you're becoming, the fortune that you're entering into, one would think, this is normal to Leo, but it's not normal to a Leo when you've been going through so much and being tested over and over again, being shown things, the same thing, deeper and deeper and deeper. Now that Pluto is sitting across from you, that transformation looks more. It looks different. There's a grievance here. You're moving on from a pattern. You are connecting deeper with a purpose. See, 3, with the 2 and the 1. With yourself. With who you are, and at some point, whatever mother or parent has become of you. we can observe people and think that we'll never become that, and then we do. And that reason being is because it was never addressed, it was just ignored. You're addressing a lot of these subconscious, unconscious things coming up in your life that was once hidden to you, and now it's being revealed, especially with all Gemini moving into Cancer. It was clear then, but then when everything moves into Leo, it'll be extremely clear. And that's when you'll do something, communicate about it. That's when you get into the side of you that is so creative, that is also so easy to communicate with, that is so easy to work with. It's the same thing. It's you accepting maybe too that at one point whatever you were doing for yourself and whatever you're telling yourself was the truth. And now it's just not the truth anymore. It's a different truth, and you're acknowledging the losses that you've had, especially if, like, at one point that relationship could have been mended. There's a deeper commitment to say, like, it's okay to be uncomfortable when the relationship is worth it, when the situation is worth it. It's okay that I step aside from my pride and realize that courage is what makes me real. Courage is what makes me so shiny, so easily to love, so confident. Oh, look at all this. This is a deeper commitment to yourself, and it may cause you, and you may find it to be, to others it could seem irrational or weird or abrupt, risky, right? All of those very Aries, look at this, Aries things, qualities, because we'll have a square with the node coming up this month. It's very soon. I actually want to get the date for you. If you don't just give me a moment. So much to remember. All of the energy. Actually, it is on the 2nd, so everything's like happening on the 2nd. The sun is going to square the node tomorrow, as this comes out on July 2nd. And what you see from this square that continues to reveal itself is that you've thought about this for a while. You just haven't felt confident enough to leave something behind. Because for some people, when you leave something behind without something set up already, those are people for which they have a specific skill in a specific place. There are people who are great communicators, great with dealing with people, service providers, right? People who provide the service of communicating, of relating, of connecting, of data. All of that could be many different things that you look out to. People, especially if you want to connect with people more. You haven't had the confidence because for so long you've been hurt in this way. And now you can take a look and be like, oh, this is actually me. Like, even though this is happening to me, we'll use that very cliche, it's happening for you now. Now you're in the place where, like, oh, this is actually happening for me. This has been a long time coming. This person didn't hurt me, not just hurt me. They actually gave me a gift. Oh, all the cliches. They gave me something. My confidence to see myself finally, even though it may have gotten bad at some point, there may have been some cheating at some point, or hurtful words at some point. Now I see what's important to me and how my ego needed to be checked, because if it wasn't, then I'd be going in the same direction, then I wouldn't be getting out of this stuck place, and I wouldn't have been addressing all of these different things or taking my life back into control in some kind of way, which is clearing up and allowing me to rest in my intuition and my instincts. My instincts have shifted. You're no longer stuck in those instincts that makes you feel like you need to go after everything. Cancer season's like, can you be receptive? Can you do the thing and then be receptive? Let yourself detox, have a hissy fit, whatever it is that you need to have to get out of your system. And then be receptive to what's next. to understand that the plan comes from you. And if you're unclear and if you're not allowing yourself to feel into this moment, how could your future be clear? How could the next step be clear? You don't have to do such a big thing, but I wanted to give an example. You could just start small, right? It could be trying something new, trying something that you don't know you could be good at, but you have no idea. You're clearing up a lot of your intuition, a lot of the placements. We didn't talk about the body at all. This is the season of the breast, the stomach. That's ruled by Cancer, ruled by the moon as well. And then we have the digestion as well. So everyone is digesting something this month, but we're also being given the remedy to our lives to put into action at the same time, but more towards the end of the month, more towards the Leo placement shift. Forward movement is the hips and luck. There's lots of luck here, but you'll miss it if you're not in the right headspace. Your heart, you want to express yourself. There's a lot of expression happening. Notice what you're breathing into life. And what you're making, you notice, just be careful with your hands and what you agree to, contracts. But both Gemini cards came out. So an emphasis on the lungs, how you're breathing into your life, your heart. What does your heart feel like? Do you feel supported? Your back? How's your head, Aries? Sex organs, muscular system. Are you feeding your body? What are you feeding yourself when you're noticing what's coming out? That's what you've been feeding yourself, maybe subconsciously. And now you can consciously move forward. You can grieve. You cannot doubt that this is what is supposed to be happening at this time, as long as you reconnect with yourself. What love is, with confidence, with sureness, and realizing that what would lock this in is by moving on from what you've put so much energy into, because luck is on your side. You are so attractive to many right now. And you may get your first test right away with someone who is not at all worth your time. But it's so easy to, in that moment, feel and move forward from it because there's so much energy there. But then when you get through that, you realize how much patience and quiet there is and there needs to be for this part in your life, for whatever you're absorbing, whatever's been come into play, whatever has been said. That was just a lot of cards. We're going to go with these two. Haha, more digestion. The Virgo card, it's deep insight into how you've been, the role you've been given, what you've chosen, what worked at some point because you really wanted money, but then became you, and then compromised some integrity. Now you're looking at integrity. Now you're looking at self-worth differently. You're looking at yourself in this way, where you're realizing that patience is the key, that this is just the parts of you that have been unacknowledged, not loved properly. And now you're getting insight into what value you have and the value that you provide with your instincts, your ability to sit in your confidence. What you're digesting from what you're being shown by your own self, by your own body, because your lungs are detoxing perhaps. You're going through a change internally. Your heart, you're feeling things open. Yes, it's been emotional, but now there's some balance. Now there's some realizations as to what this is and how it's shaping you and how you're seeing yourself. How hard you've been working, the justice that you deserve, the fruits that you deserve, things that are coming your way. But not needing you have to think or do more. Whatever your mind is trying to tell you, it's just doing it because it thinks it has to. You know those people who think they have to like give you a compliment because you gave them one, or do something just because something was given, so something has to be received and given back. you know you can feel a difference between someone who really just wants to do it, even though you did make the first move, but someone who really wants to do it, as opposed to someone who just wants to give you something because you gave them something that they don't have. It's the receiving. So now you're receiving a lot of messages intuitively. You're receiving a lot of what needs to happen intuitively, internally, very internal, very, very internal. And the parts of you that want to say more than you have to are just working hard than they have to at this point. And it would just be very wise of you to rest your body and allow your body to talk to you through this digestion period and through this period of time where you're really connecting with yourself in a way where you can't hide from it, you can't ignore it, but it's transforming with you. And this is your lead into, and some uncomfortable moments with yourself. But that's okay, because you learn so much more about yourself, and you attract more, and you are more open. It's the bottom card. To seeing potential, possibilities, and you can sit with, here the same cards are out, with what brings you there. Where you can create structure, where you can now create form. You've been formed a little bit more, so therefore you can form your brain. You're being open, created more space, more room for abundance, for clarity. You may have not felt your brain this clear in so long, but it's because you're not making excuses for all these other things that you've decided to allow to happen. You're just like, no. Moving on. Or like, yes, whatever it is. Whatever that answer is, Leo. And you should be proud. Why? Because we've been talking about the spiritual life and how that integrates, and how it can be it doesn't have to just be this extra space or this other realm or this other place. It's just about who you are and how you live, and that is what we've been wanting to get to. See you next month in your time.